Hello and welcome back to the Coder's Legacy channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to integrate MySQL into your Tkinter application. Here's our code for our Tkinter window. Okay, let me just run it first and then I'll explain it briefly. Here's a welcome window. We basically have a login system over here. We can register a user over here, okay, and then we can log in once we have registered. So that's what we're going to be making in today's video. We have 4 windows: the welcome window, the login window, the register window, and the main window. The main window only shows up once we have successfully logged in. Okay, so here's the Tkinter code. Let me walk you through it real quick. Here's a welcome window. Okay, and we have the buttons over here, and these are for opening the login and register windows. If you want an explanation, a detailed one for how this code was made, I have a separate video on that. I'll link it down in the description below, okay? Because it uses a pretty interesting concept to create all this UI code. All right, so here's our register window, and here's our main window, which is empty because we're not really going to be doing anything with that in this video. It's just there. So yeah, let's begin. Now, I assume you guys already have MySQL set up, okay? You need to download the MySQL server or just download the MySQL installer. It will walk you through everything, okay? Once you have that, you need to install the MySQL connector library, okay? MySQL.connector. This library is basically used to connect your MySQL installation to your Python code, okay? And if you guys have trouble with the MySQL installation, tell me and I'll make a video on that. All right. But for now, let's just jump directly to the MySQL code. And we're going to import this library first. And as you can see here, I'm writing the MySQL code in a separate file, which is, good practice. Because you don't want to throw everything into one file. That's not a good idea. We're going to define all the functions over here. Let me just write out all the functions. Okay. We're going to have one which initializes our connection. We're going to have one for login. We're going to have one for register, and we're going to have a few more that will create as we go along. But these are the 3 main functions. The first thing that we need to do is create a MySQL connection. We need to connect to our MySQL database. So we'll do mysql.connector.connect, then pass in the required information. Host is equal to localhost because it's on our local system. User is equal to the username that you gave MySQL when installing it. Same goes for the password. Okay, then we're going to create a cursor object. Cursor is equal to con, your connection object, dot cursor. This allows you to send SQL queries. Okay, like we can do show databases. Okay, and this returns the result and stores it within the cursor object. So don't try printing this out, okay? What we need to do actually is cursor.fetch. This returns the result, all the results from the cursor. So we do this. I didn't call this function, so let's do that. And this prints out all the current databases. Okay, but let's create our own database. So what we'll do is, up here, let's do cursor dot execute create database tutorial. Okay, and let's run this code. Now, as we can see, our new database tutorial is now included. Great. But the problem with this code is that every time we run this function to connect to our MySQL database, it's going to try and recreate the database, and it's going to give us this error, can't create database, because it already exists. So what we're going to do is just check to see if it exists, okay, before trying to create it again. So let's just store this in here. And if you notice, the formatting was a bit weird. Okay, the formatting here is a bit weird. This is what it looks like. There's a list and there are tuples inside of it. So we just need to format that a bit. Okay, we'll do temp is equal to fetch all. Then databases is equal to item in or item in temp. Okay, and this will give us what we're looking for. Let's just comment this out for a second. Then I'm going to do print databases, and then this gives us this. Okay, it gives us a simple list. Now what we're going to do is if tutorial not in databases, then run this query. Okay, so it's only going to execute this query if the tutorial database does not exist. Okay, see, no error now. It's perfectly fine because this is not executing anymore. But if I, for example, go here into my MySQL workbench, drop my table, okay, or actually I could have just done that from here too. I could just have done this as well, drop database, but whatever. So if I run this code now, it's going to create the database, okay, and it's all working, as you can see. Now what I'm going to do is connect to a table, and as you can see, this is already quite a bit of work. I'm going to create a separate function for this, create database, okay, and then we're going to store this in here. Now the next thing we need to do is create a table. Okay, now this is very similar to how we created the database. We're going to do this, show tables. Oh, and what is a table? Just in case you don't know, a table is, well, a database can have many tables, because if you have, say, a database on a school, then you're going to have a separate table for your students, a separate table for your teachers. It's kind of a way of, creating separate categories, several subsections, subdivisions inside your database. Okay, so we're going to create the table over here. Let's just change that to tables. Okay, create table. And the thing is, how do I put this? The command for creating a table is a lot more complicated, because when you're creating a table, and oh, by the way, we're going to call this users. Okay, the table name that we're going to create is called users, because we're dealing with users here, the creation and registration of users. Okay, so here's our command. This is not the complete command, obviously, because when you create a table, you need to specify the number of columns. What type of value are you going to store in that table? Like if you're storing the data for a user, you need to store his first name, last name, age, gender, email, etc. Then you need to specify the data type for each piece of information. Like the name should be a string, for example, the age should be an integer, and so on. So these are things that you need to actually define in MySQL when creating a table. I'm gonna just copy paste the command from here, from MySQL Workbench. By the way, this is basically a way of directly, without Python, interacting with MySQL. I copy pasted this command in here just so it would be easier for us. I'm gonna put this over here. Okay, create table users. Format this a bit. Okay, we're gonna create a multi-string here, like this. Okay. Now, as you can see, we're creating the table users, then there's a bracket, and within these brackets, we define all the columns. We have an ID, which is basically integer, and it auto increments, which basically means we're not going to be manually assigning IDs. It's just going to automatically assign an ID to each user that we add. It's a primary key, which, if you don't know, is basically a way of uniquely identifying a user. Like, imagine this, it's like employee IDs, okay? Employee IDs in the company. You might have multiple employees with the same name, but obviously unique IDs are there. So if you want to say, if there are like two people over there, two people called Bob, then you want to differentiate between them, you can differentiate between them using their employee ID. So that's what the primary key means, basically. All right. Then we have first name, last name, and this is varchar, which is basically a string. Okay, it's like a character, variable character, and this is given a limit of 100 characters, which I think is more than enough for a name. The password is 30 characters only. Email is 100, and it's also unique. I decided to make the email unique by passing in the unique constraint. Okay, We have gender, which is a varchar, just one character. So either M or F, okay? Or, well, let's just go with that. Then there's age, then there's address. Okay, age is an integer. So what else? Okay, we're good here. I'm just going to run this command now. We'll go over here and do create table. Right, create databases first. And these two commands are only going to be executed if the table and database don't already exist. Okay, that's important to keep in mind. So currently we don't have a table. Okay, if I go and execute this command, if I do show tables over here, let's just comment this out. If I do show tables and print out temp, the table does not exist. Oh, whoops. It doesn't obviously exist over here. I'm just going to go here and we're going to comment that out. Then I'm going to paste this over here and then we'll run our code. Oh, come on. Why? Cursor is not defined. What is not defined? Ah, of course. Cursor. And cursor. All right. We're going to pass in the cursor object to these. Okay. There. Now let's run our code. It says no database is selected. Why is that? Okay. That makes sense. What we need to do here is cursor.execute. We have created a database, but we need to actually select it. And we do that using this, right? Tutorial, use tutorial. Now, when you create a database, it just gets added over there, okay? It doesn't switch over to it. You need to use the use command that actually does this, okay? So now that I run this code, it's gonna work. And as you can see here, the tables command returns an empty list because there are no tables right now. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to now remove this code that was just there for demonstration purposes. And now, actually, hold on, let's keep that in there. Okay, I'm going to move this now after this, and let's run the code. And now it says users. We now have a new table. Great. Okay, so this was just the setup. I know it was quite a bit, but it's kind of important to understand all this, how it's working, how we're creating a database, how we're creating a table, and how we're creating it in a unique way. We could have just directly ran one command for this and one command for this and just forgotten about it. No need to bother creating functions, but it's important to properly understand how to create these databases and how to make them in a scalable and reliable way. Okay, making them properly. So I'm just going to remove this now, okay, and put this over here. I'm going to import it first, import database, or actually from database, our database file, import all, and now I'm going to put this somewhere over here, okay, initialize connection, and I'm gonna go up here and I'm going to return the cursor and the connection object. Let's just reverse that. Connection should come first. Okay, then I'm going to do connection and cursor. Okay, so we now have the successful connection and cursor in our Tkinter file. So that's pretty good so far. Now what we need to do is begin doing the login and register code. Okay, so what's our first step? Let's just minimize these. All right. Now let's do the code for login and register. We're going to pass in a cursor object in here, and the login function will need one too, so let's just add it in there. Then we're going to need data to register the user with, the user data. We need to insert basically a record, a new row into our table. So we'll do insert into, and the name of the table, which is users. Okay, then we do values. All right, And you know what? I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna stop over here, and we're gonna go over to our UI code and call this function. Well, not call it actually. We're going to go here, and I'm going to do register. That's the name of our function, right? Register. Great. Now, before I do that, I need the data, right? I need the data for this function. I'm going to get the data from here, okay? All this. These are all labels. I'm going to create it in the form of a dictionary. It's a pretty good way of doing it. So I'm going to do, let's see, we got first name, okay? And then we got, this is going to be a little irritating. We got last name, okay? Then we got password, email, okay? Password, email. Then we got gender. Then we got age. Then we got address. Okay, that's 7. That fits. Okay, then we're going to do over here self dot, what's it called? First name entry. Come on, where's the autocorrect? Right, auto suggest when you need it. Self dot last name entry dot get. Then self dot password entry dot get. And yeah, they're all named the same way at least. This is the benefit of keeping a good convention. Okay, duplicate this over here and just change this. Email, gender, age, address. And now we have all the values inside our dictionary object. We just used the get function on all of these entry widgets of ours. Okay, so it's pretty convenient. And then we just passed this dictionary into the register function. So I'm just gonna comment this out for a second, and let's just print out the data just to be sure we're getting our data properly. Okay, run the code. Sorry, just gonna run it over here. Log in. Register. Then we'll come here, type in some random data, submit, and it gives us an error because I added in an extra D. Great, thank you. Here we go again. Really? Address entry, what is wrong with you? And of course, typo again. Let's just keep that in integer. Submit. Okay, really, how is this happening? It's kind of amazing. And again, also the entry widget. Oh, okay, this is actually a text widget. Okay, that's also important to keep in mind. In Tkinter, when you use a text widget, it's a bit different from how you retrieve data from it. You need to specify a start parameter and an end parameter. This, if you use this format, you'll be able to get everything. Okay, 1.0 stands for the first line, and tk.end automatically gets data from the very end of the text widget. Okay, we're just going to do this now. And cursor object. Of course. Okay, there we go. Finally, here's our dictionary. You can see all the values in here. That is good. Okay, now what we need to do is go back over here, and then we're going to do string formatting. String formatting is a really great way of easily inserting all these values inside. Okay, let's just keep the print statement in there. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I hope you guys have seen this before, maybe not. It's a bit of a new feature, came out in Python 3.4 or 3.5 or something, maybe 3.6. So what we can do is just do this. Okay, first name, first name. Then we're going to add in, oh, and values. Okay, you need to do this. You need to create a wrapper, values. Okay, and let's just fix the formatting a bit. Let's just do this. Okay, and now we're going to duplicate this and put in everything in here. Last name. Then we have password. Then we have email. Then we have the gender. Then we have the age. Then we have the address. Okay. And one more thing you need to do, which is very easy to do a mistake. First of all, whoops. First of all, you need to make this a multi-string. Okay. And next thing you need to do is basically cover these in single quotes. All right. Because basically, you need to do that. Otherwise, these are just going to be values and they won't be strings. We need to basically kind of pass them in as strings. Okay. So yeah, basically, let me just show you what it's supposed to be like. Okay. Ideally, it should be something like this, like first name. Okay, which is something like Bob. All right. If we don't put these, it's gonna be Bob like this, which is not basically a value. It's more like well, SQL doesn't like it that much. So keep the single quotes. And with this, we need to put null here as well. Why are we putting null? Because there's basically this row. There's this ID row. So we're gonna keep that null, right? SQL will assign this ID automatically when we run this command. Okay, so if I run this code now, this should execute and should store the new record in our database. We'll do register, and let's just do this properly. Coders legacy, password 12345, email can be coders@legacy.com, gender M, let's just go with a random age, 50, blah, 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 or fine, XYZ, ABC, then submit. And of course, an error, thank you. What is this? It says somewhere over here, our error. Is it because of this extra comma? Maybe? Values, insert into users. I think I have a command lying around over here somewhere. Looks okay to me. And the value closes over there. I don't see the problem. Let me try it again. Maybe removing the column, right? The comma is what's gonna fix it. Coders, legacy, password 12345, coders@legacy.com, and let's just pray this works out. And it worked. Great. I guess the comma was the problem. So now our code is working. And now how are we going to verify that our user was created? Well, what we're going to do, well, we could just come over here and we could do select from users. Oh, come on. Okay, it's not being very nice. Let me just comment that out. It's trying to run that code for some reason. Let's comment that out too. I'm going to run this query. And it prints it out over here. Correct. Great. Our data has been entered. Now, obviously, you probably want to know how to do this from within Python. So let me show you. We're just going to come over here. And anywhere, honestly, just come over here. Cursor dot execute this. Okay. And like I said before, you need to fetch the results. All. Then go over here. Wait. Oh, I think I got it. Oh, I know what's wrong. Basically, whenever you execute an insert command, you need to call the commit function. The commit function, well, it basically commits it. And Actually, this is done on the connection object, not the cursor. So we're going to have to pass in the cursor, sorry, the connection object as well. Commit, let me explain that in a minute. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where's our register function? Con. Okay, we're going to have to do that all over again because it's showing up over here, yeah, but it's not showing up over here in Python code. This is because the commit function is basically like a save. Okay, it's like when you make a change somewhere in editor or something, the change is made, you can see the result, yes, but it's not saved permanently. To save it permanently, you need to call the commit function. Okay, and that's basically going to save it permanently. So if I run this code again, if we go here and register again, 1 2 3 4 5, and then coders at legacy.com. Okay, submit. And if I run this code again, yes, see our code over here, this code, it's now returning this result. Great. Okay, so I think the weird thing is that 2 users are showing up. No? This is a bit strange. Not entirely sure what the deal with that is. Okay, well, never mind. I think something may have happened because of the first command that I executed or something. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to log in. Okay, we have done the registration, but we haven't done the login. Now, obviously, there's more. This register function is not what I consider completed. We still need to do data validation. Like, did he leave some fields empty, which were important? Like, if he doesn't include his name, then that's obviously a bad sign. That's validation. We'll take a look at that in a separate video. I'll make a new video after this where we discuss validation and error handling, like what happens if the user is already created, stuff like that. We'll take a look at that in the next video. And if you're interested, we can include more stuff. Do let me know in the comment section below. But right now, we'll do login. Okay. Here's the code for the login window. We're going to come here and call the login function, which needs the cursor and data. What is data? Data, just like before, is going to be a dictionary where we store the username. Okay, self.username_entry.get, then data password is equal to self.password_entry.get. Then we're going to pass this object in here. Okay, now let's go over to our MySQL code. And here we need to put in a parameter for data. Now what we need to do first is check. We're going to check, is the user there? Does he exist? And we're going to do cursor.execute select all from user. This means all rows. We could do first name only or first name and last name, but we want to select all the columns. Okay, select from users where the okay, now this is the thing. When we log in, we provide we provide the login page with the username and password. Now, the username or password, actually the username should be unique. But we haven't actually made a username over here. Normally there's like a username and then there's a first name and last name, right? But we didn't actually make a username. So let's just pretend like the email is the username. Okay? So we're going to do where email is equal to, I'm going to make this a formatted string, and where email is equal to data email, or actually username. Or let's just change this to email, and we'll change this to email as well. All right. Okay, so we're going to do cursor dot fetch 1. We just want one row. Now, obviously, or you know what? Let's just go ahead and fetch all, because that's also useful information. Like if 2 users have the same email, then that's a warning sign. Or actually, come to think of it, in our code here for our database, for our table, we gave the constraint unique for the email, which allows us to use it as a unique identifier in the first place. So it's not possible for two users to have the same email. Okay, and if we try inserting a command, a duplicated email into SQL, it's actually going to give us an error. It has built-in validation that way. So let's just do fetch one. I'll do whatever you want, really. So let's just go here, run our code. Hold on, there's a bit of a thing going on here. Something looks off about this. Well, for one, I think that there should be some of these over there. Let's try that again. Okay. Not sure why this is happening. It says there is an unmatched, but that doesn't look like that's the case. Okay. Line 45. Don't entirely get what the problem is. Let me just take a quick look at my original code. Where is it? I'm just gonna cheat quickly. Don't know, looks fine. This is my previous code, which is tested. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly is up with this. But let me just copy paste this in here anyway. Change that to email. And go here and run our code again. Alright, log in. Okay, our code is working now. Not sure what was different. Must be a trick of the eye or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm using my email, okay, and I'm also using the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna click submit, and it prints out the result. Great. What we just did, you may not realize it. Let me just explain this. What we just did was retrieve the whole data for our user using this SQL command, using the email over here. Now, obviously, if I make a typo over here and then try submitting, it's gonna return none because no user with this email exists. And if I type in the wrong password, oh wait, come to think of it, if I type in the wrong password, it's still gonna work because I did not add an AND statement. Okay, the password should also match. So we'll do this. Data, email, password. And this is a multi-level string, right? So let's just bring this down here. Password. There. Cool. So I'm gonna run this now. And it should work. coderslegacy.com 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Submit. Okay, if I change that to 1, 2, 3, 4, and now it returns none. So great, login validation is working as well. And with this, we'll end the video. This has gone on quite long, longer than I thought it would, honestly. In the next video, if you guys want, we can cover extra validation, like handling error cases. We've already added quite a bit of validation, especially over here in the create table and create databases. And if you want to see anything else interesting in this project, we can always do something with the main window. Do let me know if there's something you want to see over there. We can always do something where we can add new records or something, show new records in unique ways, like an administrator role who can delete users, maybe something like that if you want to. All right, do let me know. And with this, we'll end the video. Bye then.